right, so Teddy and I have the pleasure of roasting Swanson, or they call him Hefe. So we're just going to tell you a little, probably about what you haven't heard about Erik. He was raised in the swamps of Elgin, Illinois. One of 4 brothers. He was your all-American boy, a kid that every mom would be proud of. Except for his brief stint as an exotic dancer. Which luckily didn't last very long.
Yeah, it is real.
For all of us.
Yeah, boa constrictor.
I'll take it off this picture. I can't take it anymore. He did move on to continue being your all-American boy and was a football player and was actually homecoming king.
He was a member of Larkin royalty. Larkin royalty.
And he even made time to mentor the youth.
Oh, great fun.
That's actually his granddad who he took care of for one summer. But his decision to go into medicine came about during his time in Vietnam. When he was forced to watch his own ankle surgery. And he always knew that he was destined for Nashville. And you can see from the quartet brothers over there, Mom and Chaperone.
And every resident's heard from Dr. Rousseau about how prolific Erik was during his research period, how he was always in the lab so late. So Tara and I went on a little search to find, what did Erik do in his lab and what research did he produce? So we went to the Eskin Library, walked in the front door, talked to the librarian and said, we want to see Erik Swanson's research. So we went on a little trip up to the 2nd floor, looked through all the periodicals. Couldn't find anything. Nothing in all the periodicals. Went up to the 3rd floor. Again, periodicals. Nothing, Erik. Couldn't find a single thing. But then we saw a sign. Historical collection. So there may be something in there. We walk in the door, and all of a sudden the librarian, or the archivist, we should call it, looks into the left and said, you see that medicine bag? That's Dr. Swanson's. I said, there's no way that's Erik's. I just don't believe it. Took a closer look. A little plate. Property of Erik Swanson. So he knows there were kind of a few sections of this. One, labeled for patient use. So looking at the top row, typical things, Lortab, clindamycin. But the bottom row has some more interesting things. Tiger Balm, Pleurisy Root, Bark Tea. We haven't used those in a while. And there's the center portion, which said for personal use. Couldn't really read it in the label, so I took a little closer look. We had some Rogaine on the left. Alcohol, that's no need to change that one. Gold Bond medicated power. Of course, Erik's trusty prune juice. So I started talking. I said, what else do we have? I want to see some data. I want to see some literature from Erik. So she showed me this book. I said, all right, let's see it. Here's an article that Erik wrote actually about mandible fractures. I didn't believe it, so I went to the front page, looked at the title page, Sally's monograph, and there it is. Edited by Erik Swanson. Congratulations, by the way. I said, what else do you have? Put out this huge book. So wow, that's a pretty impressive book. Well, what could have Erik done in that one? He says, Erik did every neck dissection in this one that the artist used. So that's really impressive. It's a beautiful neck dissection. But I still don't believe you. Again, look at the front page, new edition, 1795, with a section done by Erik. He and Scarborough were good friends. And so I'm walking out and I'm thinking, gosh, there's a lot of residents that have gone through our ENT program. And I don't think any of them could really do neck dissections that beautiful. Where did Erik get this training? So I'm walking out and I see a book, Medicine, Illustrated History. I take a look at this Eakins painting. I take a little closer look, and who is that right there? So he had a bit of a leg up on us.
So this is Erik's beautiful family, and Teddy and I just could not help but compare this to the perfect Gap ad.
But in all honesty, it's been an absolute honor and privilege to work with Erik. He is what every resident aspires to be. You ask any resident who they would most like to be, and I think a lot of them would say Erik, without a doubt. He's there late. They hold your hand literally and figuratively at times, and that's a long story. But really is there for you, there for patients, there to learn, there to teach, there to operate. But more importantly, he's a great friend. He's the first one to call when you hear something terrible happen in your family, and one of the first ones to call when something great happens. So I'm one of the lucky ones. I have family in Charleston, so I'll be seeing more of Erik.
Just wanted to say a couple more words about Erik. He has talked me off the ledge on a number of occasions. We spent 6 months together. We started at the VA and then on the general service. The first time I met Erik was actually the day of interviews. I was about to get off on the 7th floor when this gentleman walked in and he was headed up to the interviews, and I thought he was an attending. So I spoke to him very politely and later found out, approximately half an hour later, that he was a resident. And he and I have gotten to know each other very well over the last year. And we've gone through a lot at the VA and went through some tough times with a couple particular patients. And he just taught me a lot about how to work with families and how to gently walk people through difficult times in their life. And that was very meaningful to me, and I'm very grateful for all the time that we spent together. And I'm really going to miss you, Pepe. And I know it's Erik with the K.
So another year of Chiefs are set to begin their lives in the real world.